Bendy and the Dark Revival, the sequel to the popular indie horror game Bendy and the Ink Machine. In this game review we will dive into the depths of the machine and see what was done right and what can be improved in this game. The first and most important thing about this game that makes it a clear improvement to its predecessor is its graphics. This game has a beautiful animated world, sometimes interrupted by the human universe, where in both universes the graphics do exactly what it needs to do. In the human universe the graphics look crisp and refined, with nice intricate details, whilst in the Ink universe the graphics look like a mix of cartoony and realistic, which is exactly what it needs to be for this kind of game. Another positive of this game are the cameos. In this game there were a lot of references to Bendy and the Ink Machine, some old characters remade for this new story. Included in this category is the lore of this game. Like its predecessor, there is a lot of secret corridors, rooms and puzzles that add to the story of the game. Looking for these secrets made the game feel like it had a lot more thought put into it, making my experience with the game that much more enjoyable. Another pro with this game is the music and sound direction. As of most horror games, the music and sound is one of the most important parts of a horror game, and this game does it exactly right. From the ominous music when Bendy is coming, to the sounds during activities, when you're doing activities such as charging your gen pipe or walking around the ink, this game has it nailed. A small pro I have is the game's boss fight. It isn't as good as the graphics or the sound, but the boss fights in this game are very well thought through and entertaining, with gimmicks only an indie horror game could give you. My last positive of this game is how it feels more open road than the last game. In this game I can walk around freely, find secrets and upgrades which I wouldn't do during the normal story, find audio logs, find hidden notes, which just add to the experience, and I think it's a positive of this game. The first thing that comes to my mind whilst writing my notes to this video was how the story was relatively rushed and mediocre. This will definitely be a controversial opinion in the Bendy community, but the story of Bendy and the Dark Revival was a solid story, like a 7 out of 10 story, but the game was relatively short, being 7 hours, which for the price is, I bought it for like £17, so I'm not complaining about the length of the game. I'm complaining how they had so many good ideas for the story of this game, but they had to put it into 7 hours of gameplay, so the story just turns out to be rushed into a short ass game, and yeah, it just feels rushed. I'm not saying the story is bad, by the way. It's an above average story, but it's in the acceptable category and not the pros because of how rushed it was. Another acceptable thing I have about this game is the core gameplay. Whilst it's, like most indie horror games, the gameplay is normally the highlight, the puzzles in this game were actually quite fun, and the exploration to find secrets was also relatively fun. However, doing the same thing for 7 hours on end, as expected, is going to get very repetitive, walking around, finding the occasional audio log or note. As for the puzzles, well, some of them are fun, some of them are just confusing and unnecessary. So all in all, the core story is good but rushed, and the core gameplay is good but repetitive. My main problem with this game and its predecessor is the combat. In both games, the combat feels really janky, but it feels worse in this game as everything else is improved apart from the combat. In this game, the combat is just to run around in circles and occasionally hit. It's boring and repetitive. The only saving grace is the boss fights, which add variation and break the loop of just running in circles. One slight flaw I have with this game is how it underutilizes its abilities. This game added the flow ability that lets you dash, and the banish ability where if you sneak upon an enemy you can instantly kill them. In this game you rarely use the flow ability for actual gameplay, and when you do it feels janky and buggy, and for the banish ability it was so forgettable I only used it once, I think, and that was for the time I had to use it against Alice Angel to kill her. So yeah. Whilst the other two flaws aren't all that game changing, being its combat and its abilities being misused, this next flaw is what takes away a lot from the experience of the game, and that is the lack of chase sequences and the misuse of bendy. In the first bendy game, the world would slowly turn darker as ominous music would play, and you would have to use your instincts to decide whether you should hide or if you were just being paranoid. But in the Dark Revival, it tells you when he's coming with a message, and you can't even see him walking around. He will just kill you if you don't hide in time. This means there is near to no chase scenes that isn't part of a cutscene, like this one I'm about to show here. Just skipping it past quick, but if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. This overall just takes away a massive horror element of the game being chase scenes, which means you're not as paranoid. So even though it's a sequel to Bendy and the Ink Machine, I think it's less scary, and whilst I was playing, it makes me less paranoid than I would be playing Bendy and the Ink Machine. After my second playthrough, my conclusion is that this is a very good horror indie game that builds and improves upon its predecessor. This game would be a 9 out of 10 if it had chase scenes like the original, however it doesn't, so it loses a couple of points for being less scary than its predecessor. So in conclusion, this game gets a 7.5 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video, and drop a comment on a game you would like to see a game review on, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye. Bye. Bye.